Sorry.
Good evening, and it's another Thursday night of week 5 at Watkins, Glen, brought to you live on the Total Sim Sport YouTube channel. I'm James Parfit, and shortly I will be joined by the amazing Mr. Chris Rowlands, who's back with me again for a second week. So the circuit today is Watkins Glen. It's the classic boot circuit, so we don't have the bus stop chicane going across the back straight, and at a current circuit length of 3.37 miles and 4.3 kilometers, this is going to be one absolutely epic race this evening. Turns such as shoot, toe, outer loop, heel, and happy named commentators at ankle that we have called it. It's going to be absolutely great. Incredible this evening. So let's welcome Chris into the booth. Chris, welcome in.
Hello, everyone. It's good to be here. It looks like we've got quite an interesting race setting up. One thing I've noticed already, Jan Curbs is in. He's not in an LMP1. He's in an LMP2, so I want to see what's going to go on there. That's interesting.
Yeah, I think, to be fair though, Chris, with a driver of his calibre, I don't really think it matters what car he's in. I think he's generally going to be quick, but the interesting thing would be how he gets on qualifying. Because as we know previously with Jan Curbs, he doesn't always qualify in sometimes at the back, but then he generally makes it to P1, doesn't he? So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see. But I think Jan Curbs will still come out, as he has done anyway, Chris, after qualifying probably in the lead, knowing Jan.
Well, that's if we don't have a repeat of what happened here last season, where some LMP2s got caught up in some pre-start line shenanigans, where an LMP1 had decided to cause an incident just as they were going green. And there hadn't been much of a gap left between the LMP2s, so they went into the back of them, and it disrupted both classes' races. And as you might be able to see on the screen right now, the weather is not ideal at Watkins Glen right now. It is rather foggy, and that is probably going to make life just a little bit harder for all of our drivers this evening.
Yeah, I think any change of weather format generally really kind of puts a different perspective on an hour-long race, doesn't it? Because, you know, it's just not expected. I think most of us get too comfortable driving sort of nice open tracks where we can see. So when all of a sudden they chuck in fog, it kind of brings a different perspective to the racing.
It does, and I mean it's going to make the first few laps very tricky indeed. But the in-sim time is just a shade before 9 AM on the 1st of April, so it might well, if we're lucky, it might well clear up by the end of the race. So as our drivers get tired and just want the race to be over because their hard-earned positions are under threat, hopefully the conditions will get ever so slightly easier. Simon Cowlart's just set a rather rapid pole time in LMP1.
Yeah, 1:21.58. Now the interesting thing is, though, Chris, is Jan Curbs switching to LMP2. He's currently leading he's leading the LMP1 series. So, you know, don't get me wrong, everybody else is on 30 points in LMP2, but he's leading the LMP1s. What do you think? You know, where's he going to go with that? I'm a bit confused. What he's sort of, you know, yes, he's in an LMP2. We know that he's quick at LMP1. He's top of the leaderboard. You know, what do you think his thinking is of switching to LMP2 this week?
I think at the end of the day, iRacing is about having fun, and sometimes switching up what you do is the best way to have fun. It can get a bit repetitive using the same car all the time, and we know just how good Jan is, same as Simon Cowlart's in the LMP1. But the amount of time you've got to dedicate to being that quick, sometimes it's nice just to switch over. And who knows, maybe Jan Curbs is driving in Daytona 24 hours next weekend, and this might be a good way to just get a bit of extra practice in. Because yes, this isn't Daytona, but the multi-class aspect is still the same. So it's still valuable experience to learn what it's like to drive an LMP2. Although another issue there is that that will be GT3s at Daytona, and we've got the GTEs here. And I personally find this quite a tricky track in an LMP2 to try and get past the GTEs, because there are not that many heavy braking zones. They're reasonably light. It's quite a fast circuit. So I think we have seen in the past this can be quite a tricky circuit, especially in that complex after the outer loop, all the way around to the renamed ankle. We see a lot of miscommunication between classes there, and I do wonder when we get to that sort of 20-minute zone where all three classes are in the same area. I think we're going to see some silliness happen this evening.
Yeah. Do you think then we're looking at the long back straight, because we haven't got the bus stop? You know, that area alone is going to give yourself a plenty more overtaking opportunities, isn't it? Now, one of the things they have got to look for is obviously their Right, guys, as you can see, the grid is on the screen at the moment. Chris is our grid reader this evening. Chris, take us through the grid.
As you can see, Simon Cowlart's is on pole. We've got a full pace lap here, so we've got plenty of time to take you through the grid here. We saw last week that LMP1 field was very close together. That's not happened this evening, and that might be reflected in the car numbers ever so slightly. That obviously reflects iRacing. Amber Hawkins, which is a new name to us in the number 22, is in second, 7/10 down on Simon Cowlart's this time. Luke Santos is in third. He is 8/10 down, and alongside him, Christopher Hamer, not too far behind in fourth. Familiar name as well, Rob Armstrong is in fifth alongside one of our debackers, and that is Jim. And Chris McNichol has opted not to qualify, and that is our 7 LMP1 cars. And then on pole for LMP2, we've got Ross Woodford with a 1:29.091, and that is still a little bit closer. Rui Queiroz has done a 1:29.2 pretty much there. He is alongside him in second. Kerim Havas is in third. He is car number 1. So we've got cars number 1, 3 and 2 in the front three positions. That's going to be a very interesting battle there tonight, I think. Alongside Havas on row 2, we have got Fernando Teixeira in fourth. And then scrolling down a bit, we have got John Houdeludis. He is in fifth alongside Claudio Maldi. Christian McCready in seventh alongside our old favourite Richard Simner in eighth, Dylan Freckleton in ninth, and they are all within a second of the lead, followed by Stuart Bickley in 10th, just a little bit further down, then Sylvan Delpech in 11th, and then, as we've mentioned already, Jan Curbs, who either elected not to qualify or didn't set a clean lap, he is in 12th. And then Nick Burke, another name that we've seen before, he has not qualified either. And then if we go into GTE, which is predominantly Porsche, certainly the front two are. That's Cameron Martineau, a name that will be familiar to a lot of you. Very quick driver. He has done a 1:37.7 and put himself on pole. Alongside him, Philip Meyer, just 2/10 down. And then in third place, we have got, I believe it's Marco Ricci. It's Junior Borges, sorry. My timing screen is telling me lies. So yeah, Junior Borges in third, and then we've got the non-Porsche of Marco Ricci in fourth. He's driving the Corvette, one of two drivers this evening. João Brites is in fifth, alongside Sebastian Gillette, followed by Jorge Carmo, and then the other Corvette of Simon De Mori. And then down in ninth, this is the first driver more than a second behind the pole time. We've got Petros Rafael Themelis. Alongside him is Atakan Batur. And then we've got Oliver Santos 11th, Christian Streitenberger in 12th. Petros is, by the way, the lone Ford driver, so I'm sure he'll get plenty of screen time this evening from producer Sean. P13 is Dominic Scheid, followed by Tommy Moljord, and then Andreas Cordes. Everyone that set a time in GTE is within 2 seconds of the pole time, which I think that shows you the strength of the field, because that is pretty close. Guerlain Massing in 16th and Sergio Carlo in 17th have both either elected not to set times or could not set a clean one. And we're still going round. I think we are only yet at the moment just coming around to the outer loop. So we've still got quite a lot of a pace lap to go. It can sometimes, I think, James, it can psych you out a bit having the long pace laps. I've done it at Road America before, where you just it takes you, the nerves build up so much for me. I don't know how you find it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing when you're sitting on a full pace lap. It does get a little bit, and you do get a little bit nervous, and you do sit back and wonder, you start going through your head about the start and everything else. And I think they just sort of got to sit back and calm down. They're giving it quite a bit of a gap. So I'm hoping, Chris, for this race that it should be fine. But we'll just have to see as they come around the toe, heading down into the hill. Chris, what are we expecting? 1 hour racing. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I think the chaos is probably going to be restricted to the first 10-15 minutes if we're lucky. I hope we don't see a repeat of last season with the pre-race crash. But that was quite a large LMP1 field last time out. We've only got the 6 LMP1 drivers this evening. And I wonder if that is well, we've also got 7, but Chris McNichol has either pit started or disconnected. So that's going to help a little bit more. I think if I'm in a GTE, the fewer prototype cars on the track, the better, because that generally tends to be what ends the race for the GTE drivers. And we were mentioning it earlier, I think that in the entire sort of boot section, it's so easy to just miscommunicate because you're having to oh dear, we've already had an incident there. I believe that's Luke Santos. That's not ideal. That car looks very dead considering how slow the drivers were going there, and we are now down to 5, and the GTEs can rejoice. I'm not sure what happened there, but that's not ideal.
No, Luke Santos didn't get the best start on the pace lap. I'd have to see if we can have a look back there and see if he was tagged or if he's just spun it completely on his own, but we'll just have to see what happens and see. But we are coming round the final corner now, guys, so we are going to be live very shortly. Still, hopefully the grid will disappear off the screen. That would be absolutely amazing. And then we can get it underway and get going. But here we go, guys. They are in. Pace cars in. And the LMP is off. There goes Simon Carlos. Has got to jump over Amber Hawkins coming down into 90 degrees. The first turn there, guys. Got an absolute flyer. So we've got Simon Carlos, Amber Hawkins, Rob Armstrong, Jim DeBacker, and Christopher Hammer in the LMPs. In the LMP2s, we have still got Woodford out in front currently at the moment. Quiros behind him, Habas behind him, Texera, Huda lead is Maudi, and Simnar, our good friend Mr. Richard Simnar in the LMP2s. In the GTEs, we've got Cameron Martineau, Philip Meyer, Junior Borges, Marco Ricci, João Brits, and Carmo is leading us off. Chris, fairly good start. No major incidents so far.
Yeah, although as you're saying with Hamer, I don't know what's happened to him, but he's behind all the LMP2s. So, and I suspect might be going to the pit lane. That's not a very happy looking LMP1. I wonder if he was involved in the Luke Santos incident and perhaps had damage there. But aside from that, as we see an LMP2 go off the track, that's number 24 of Claudio Maldi. It's been pretty clean aside from the LMP1 field, which has been a little bit silly so far. We've lost nearly half the field, and we are less than 30 seconds into the race when that happened. But LMP2 and GTE are going well so far, as we're seeing. Yep, is there a move here? No, that's going off track for Carmi.
Going off track, unfortunately. That's Maldi going off. Yeah, he tagged the wall as well. And unfortunately, he's now at the back of the LMP2 field. But the LMP1s are flying. They are going up the S's. The LMP2s are currently coming around the last corner. Off down the start-finish straight is a leader of the LMP2s. The GTEs are heading to the hill, currently on track at the moment. We've got 58 minutes remaining, and this is going to be one epic race. As we say, guys, we have got Christopher Harmer, Luke Santos, and Chris McNichol, unfortunately, out of the LMP1 field. So they are down to a lonely 4 drivers. So Simon Cowlocks, Amber Hawkins, Jim DeBacca, and Rob Armstrong are in the LMP1s. Chris, did you ever fancy taking an LMP1 for a spin?
No, there's a reason why we only see the sort of top drivers driving that car. It's a difficult beast to handle, and that's regardless if you're in the Audi or the Porsche, in my opinion. It's a lot harder, I think, to manage traffic with the sort of lap times you're meant to put in lap after lap. As we can see, Stuart Bickley here. This is sort of one of those situations where I don't think, well, certainly behind Jan Kurbs, who's already up 4 places even, it's someone you can sit behind. So if I'm Stuart Bickley, I'm not looking to attack too hard right now. Just see if you can follow Jan Kurbs through the field. But this is certainly the LMP2s, the whole sort of infield section. It's not really a place you can overtake. I mean, even with the reprofiled 8 and 9, which are so much less treacherous than they used to be, there's just no sensible places to make the overtake. Wait for the bus stop. We've seen it before. Line up that overtake past turn 1. Try and get a good launch through the S's and make the overtake into the outer loop. That's what we're probably going to see a lot of today. It's true of all 3 fields. But as you were saying with the LMP1, I know they've got the boost, but for me, that boost button is only really for lapping the cars from the other field, which certainly for the LMP1s isn't quite so tricky. It's the LMP2s I think are going to find it a struggle today.
Yeah, as we just see there, that's car number 27 from Elias in the Ford, Strettenberger, and I believe up front in front of him with Gillette having a battle themselves. But we jump on board with who the lead is now. He's got McCrelly in front, but he's got Richard Simnar behind him. Currently at the moment coming down the back straight, going into the outer loop. We've got car number 17, Richard Simnar, gets the jump done on who the lead is there, going around the outer loop. Now, Richard's new to the LMP2 this season, Chris. He's looking more comfortable than most drivers would be already, and we're only in week 5, really.
Yeah, well, he's not he's an experienced driver. I know we sort of gently rib him by saying he plods around, but he is actually a very quick driver and is very good at controlling GT and prototype cars. So this is not his first rodeo, but he is, I suspect, in a few laps going to have Jan Kurbs behind him to contend with, and that might be where we really see, because we've seen before with Simnar. He can put the quick laps in, but if he knows the guy behind him's quicker, he just lets him go. It's a very similar strategy to what I'll do. And I think in longer races, it's the sensible way to be. There's no point battling early in a race, costing yourself loads of time with someone who's not necessarily in a battle with you.
Yeah, currently see Amber Hawkins there. Was that Jim DeBacca running very wide there, heading round the first 90, the outer loop. Going down into the chute at the moment. These guys are literally 0.41 seconds and closing. Jim DeBacca looks like he's got the bit between the teeth, but there you go. We're on lap 4 and we're already lapping the back end of the GTEs. This is where it can get really treacherous now for these guys, Jim. As you see, Amber just going straight across. Unfortunately, taking a very wide line coming into the ankle. And up they go, coming around the second to last corner, going down into the last corner. Now, this is where we discussed earlier, this is where it's going to get treacherous, isn't it? This catching the GTEs on this, what is almost like an infield, really, with the long S's and the back straight at the back. The 9, 10 are all sort of really tight corners to be trying to go past GTEs.
I mean, Watkins Glen to hot lap is probably one of the easier GT circuits you can go to. As you can see here, this is the trouble. it's not even really miscommunication. It's
Oh,
that's
there he
miscommunication.
goes. Wow.
And that's why we were saying the GTEs want as few prototypes on the track as possible, because that is Sebastian Gillette's race done, and he didn't really do anything wrong. I mean, the only thing you can say here is you do need to drive in your mirrors a little bit, because you can, if you're sort of looking behind you there, you can see that the LMP, everyone else has done fantastically to avoid it, but if he'd been looking in his mirrors, which I know is a bad habit in most situations, he would have seen that the LMP was coming through on the other side of that previous GTE. And yes, it's the LMP's duty to make the safe overtake, so it is the LMP's fault. But I do think that Gillette could have avoided that if he'd just been more aware of what was happening behind him and had vacated the racing line. I know that's not how blue flags work, but at the end of the day, self-preservation is what's going to get you to the end of the race. It's a very tricky dilemma in multi-class sprint racing.
Yeah, as we see Santos just get past Maury there, coming down currently into the toe part of the circuit. He's just got the job done there. That's coming down into turn 10. And then we're going to be looking at Santos and then Femelis and Scheid behind him. But we have got an LMP1 in the mix. So this is going to be interesting for these guys to be clearing now. Chris, who would you sit on then? If you was to sit back and say, right, he's to blame, would there be a blame on that one? Or do you think it's just purely a lack of communication and lack of sort of position in the car to know what the LMP1's going to do?
A standard iRacing multi-class incident, and I think within the context of it being a sim, it's a racing incident. If that happens in real life, I'd be inclined to say that both drivers could have done better, but you know, the P1, the multi-class blue flag rules are such that the GT stays online and the prototype has to find a way around them, but the GT has to facilitate that pass. So you can sort of, in awkward corners like the S's, which I know it's straight, but you know, the line goes across both sides of the track. This is where that miscommunication happens, and it's I don't know. I am a fence sitter by trade, which is not ideal, but it's just one of these things. As we see Jim DeBacker getting past Amber Hawkins, for those of you who've got X-ray vision to get through the fog. But yeah, that's what we were saying earlier, James, about into the outer loop. That's the most sensible place to make a pass within your class, because you're just costing yourself so much time elsewhere. And Jim DeBacker is going to believe that he's got the pace to keep up with Simon Cowlart. So he wants to make that move as quick as he can and doesn't want to lose too much time, because he's only 5 seconds behind Simon. A little bit of traffic, and that race win, if it is his, admittedly in 50 minutes time.
Yeah, we've got Cordes there as well. He's got Bateau in front of him at the moment. But here we go again. Amber Hawkins currently in third now. Got, unfortunately, overtaken by Jim DeBacker going in outer loop. But there is only 4 cars remaining on circuit. So we've got Simon Cowlart, Jim DeBacker, Amber Hawkins, and Rob Armstrong, who's 10 seconds back from these guys. So it's going to be a next interesting 50 minutes. Do we think Jim DeBacker's doing a 1:22.91? Simon Cowlart's last time out 1:22.96. But Stettenberger now has just got past Ricky going across the back straight, going on a run down into outer loop. Ricky's tucked up behind him in that Corvette. Stettenberger in the Porsche going down into outer loop. Doesn't look like Ricky's going to come back as they head down into shoot now. That's Stettenberger upper place, so that's him in 5th. So we've got Cameron Martineau, Philip Meyer, Joe Brights, Jorge Carmo, and Christian Stettenberger rounds out our top 5 in the LMP2s. Ross Woodford is he's got Kevin Havas right up behind him at the moment. So Kevin Havas is in 2nd place, Rui Queiroz, Fernando Texeira, and Macarelli in 5th place there, Chris. Nice simple overtake. That's kind of where we were expecting a lot of the overtakes to be today. Just another simple one for Stettenberger there.
Yep, it's very validating when the drivers back up what we've been saying in our expert opinion. As we see, this is what happened to Luke Santos a little bit. Actually, no, this is him he's come back out after getting the car repaired. He was stopped for quite a while, and he needs more repairing. He's still yet to complete a whole lap, I believe. Poor Luke Santos has not been going his way this evening, but his loss is Jim DeBacker's gain, who is up 4 places into 2nd and not without a shout for winning the race. But as we're seeing on screen now, we've got John Houdeludis, who I owe an apology to. I underestimated. I sort of assumed that Richard Simner would be fighting off Jan Kurbs, and he is, but I sort of assumed that Houdeludis would be behind the two of them. He's back up into 10th overall, 6th in class, And, can you call someone half a second ahead clearing someone? But he does seem to be dropping similar reasonably quickly, considering he's not got any access to draft from McCrelly ahead of him. This is, for someone we've not seen a huge amount of, this has been quite a good drive so far from Huda Ludis.
Yeah, Simnar 0.32, but he's picked up the draft. And here we go. This is at the Richard Simnar. This is Christopher Hammer. What has he been up to in turn one? Christopher, he's in on his recovery back from his start incident there, Chris. So that's Chris Hammer going to make his way through the field. Is he going to be more aggressive now? He's currently sitting, about 2 laps down. What do you think? Is he going to make it? He's got to be aggressive, but aggressive and clean would be the best way to say, I suppose.
I mean, from my perspective, I would be very, very upset if I was in a battle in another class and a prototype that's 2 laps down on anyone else still racing in the field did anything to disrupt my race. I would be really quite cross because really all that Hamer can do now is just put the laps in and hope that something happens to some of the other drivers. He's never going to catch back up a lap and a half to 2 laps on the rest of the field. But what he can do is disrupt other people's races, as we see a GTE forget there's a corner there.
Familiar in the Ford there, just going wide. He was being passed by Santos, as we see Cordes now and Bater. These guys are currently on track, and there you go, car number 12 in the LMP2 field there, Claudio Amaldi has gone past them. But this is the fear we had when these guys attacking and passing each other. They've just kind of managed 3 wide up through the S's there with the LMP2 on the inside and the 2 GTEs, Chris. But it's always a fear in ESS that, it doesn't come out. The LMP drivers always come out in the best light. Sometimes they're a little bit too aggressive. I believe Jan Curbs has just cleared Richard Simnar there. So Richard Simnar now has got Stuart Bickley behind him. But, it's got to be a 50-50 give when they're kind of coming through at the pace that these LMP2s and LMP1s are coming through. Oh, as we see somebody in the barrier there at the bottom of chute. I'm not sure who that was.
I think that was Junior Borges. Yep, that's the number 19 in his Porsche. Let's see what's... Oh, dear. It got touched by the number 10 there. So that is Christian McCrelly. And again, like what we're saying, this is why the GTE would love for as many prototypes to be out as possible, because it does always seem to be their responsibility. This is the trouble is
it is a difficult one though, Chris, isn't it? We know that blue flags in iRacing are there just for hey mate, a faster car is approaching. It's not there to say jump out the way, but this is where the sticky wicket comes into it, isn't it? Because
it's not the Formula 1 open wheel style of blue flag where it's just like you get out of the way immediately. GT blue flags are different in that sense. And this is the perennial, this is why it is an A licensed class, this is why it's so difficult. It's an underrated aspect of multi-class racing. You've got to collaborate with the other classes, and if you're in a GTE, sometimes that means sacrificing your battle, but the alternative, as we've seen, is death, and that's not their fault, but you have to be realistic about the approach you have to take, especially where you don't know what hardware the guys in the LMP1s are running. I run a single monitor, for example. I'm very cautious as a result, but I have very little idea what's going alongside me as I'm driving, so that's why I have to be cautious. Not everyone offers that same level of courtesy, as we see the number 13 offering quite decent courtesy there. That's Fernando Teixeira, and sometimes that's the difference. Clear communication, both with the body language of your car and your headlights, and even in voice, that can avoid these incidents, as we're seeing again an LMP1 coming through, causing minimum incident. But sometimes it's easier to get round, and they're getting very close there, the 4 and the 5. That's Martino and Meyer. But this is a battle for the lead, so you have to sort of respect it as a prototype that these guys are battling for the win. Like, you don't want to get involved in their battle there, because it's just not fair if you do.
Yeah, I think I think this is that whole blue flags rule and this stuff. It really is just a tricky one altogether there. As you see Jim DeBacker coming through, currently still 7, nearly 8 seconds back from Simon Cowlotz. Amber Hawkins still not really too far back. He's sort of just under a second there. So they're kind of staying within pace of each other, which is great. So obviously Amber is trying to clear the traffic, as well as the GTEs, as well as Jim DeBacker in front, because obviously they've got to stay together. But, I think Jim DeBacker there has got a good good chance. He's about 8.7 seconds back, trying to clear past number 17 in the LMP2s at the moment, which is Richard Simnar. So Richard Simnar has now got Stuart Bickley behind him. Jan Kurbs just down the road, 0.63 in front, as we see Claudia Maudi there, clearing Nick Burke from car number 20 in the LMP2s, as these guys are currently on track, coming down into chute, round the toe, and off they go again down into hill. Chris, 43 minutes will remain in 2 seconds. We've got Carmo and Bater having a battle there, going down into chute. Is that Carmo number 32 in front of Batu? Batu's not giving it up. Is there side by side at the moment? Is being flashed from the car behind, which I believe is Oliver Rodriguez Santos. But unfortunately, these two are in a battle. Oliver, they're not going to move out your way. 43 minutes remaining, and Batu and Carmo are having an absolute epic battle in the GTEs. As we see Santos there flashing his lights furiously as they head down into hill and up into ankle. Chris, what are we looking pit stop wise? 42.5 minutes. What are we going to do about it? What do you think we're looking at pit stops?
We normally see in all 3 classes that they run as long as they can. And we've while speaking of Santos, Luke Santos has commented in YouTube just to say that the reason why we saw that incident before the start of the race was he was having force feedback problems before the race starts. So that's why his race has been cut short. I mean, I guess what you'd want to say is if it's going to happen, you'd like it to happen before you've committed 45 or so minutes into doing the race, because at least you can go and do something nice with your evening, or I suppose if you're in Brazil, your afternoon. But yeah, in terms of pit strategy, generally speaking, all 3 classes are going to run as long as possible. So that's 40 minutes in the LMP1, a shade over that of 45 to 50 minutes in the LMP2 to 40-minute ones. And the GTEs seem to have the longest pit window. They can string it out till nearly 50 minutes if they really want to. Of course, if you're stuck behind a car, then pit early, try and do the undercut.
Yeah, we just see Havers' car there in the LMP2. Now, he's gone sliding down the order. His car did not look healthy. He was up front, battling Woodward there. I believe this is it. This is Cameron Havers' incident. Does he just go off? He goes round turn 1, just goes, left roll. I thought he almost held it, but that's so easily done there. I've done that so many times on that outer curve. Where you just lose it and your back end goes, your arms go, your back and front goes, and then before you know it, you don't even know which way you're turning. You're just unfortunately in the barrier. So here is Familis in the sole Ford. We've got 2 Corvettes, bunch of Porsches as we were expecting. Chris, didn't we? We said that before we went live that we were expecting a field of Porsches this evening. Yeah,
it is the fastest car, but in a lot of ways it's also actually, certainly I find it quite easy to drive. I think the Corvette's probably, in my opinion, the easiest GTE to drive, but you just, if you're at the top of your game in both cars, you're probably going to lap quicker in the Porsche, which is why we're seeing this domination of the car. Also, it does look really nice, and that does, certainly for me, that factors into what I want to race. As we see what's happened to Huda Ludis here. Has he another victim to turn 1?
Yeah, it looks
yes,
like
although I think
same thing as Havers.
Well, I think it was a slightly different incident. He got slightly unsettled on the curb, whereas I think we saw with the earlier incident that was more of a, he'd sort of lost the rear end coming through the apex.
Yeah, so this is Carmo and Batu. They're still having a battle on the run down into outer loop. Carmo on the right, Batu on the left as you're looking at the screen. Going down into shoot. These guys are still side by side. Batu on the right, left now as he's looking at it. And this is all the time Santos is still sat on there. But Carmo seems a lot more confident as we go round now, heading down into the hill section. Oh, we just see Famelis in the background. Yeah, Famelis has just gone off, unfortunately. So he's going to go on. We'll have a look at that when we can. But let's just follow this Carmo Batu battle all the way down into hill, down the aptly named the boot little straight that we've got. But here he is, Batu still. Oh, they're getting close. They're getting close. I thought he was going to have a go at sending it there. But to be fair to Santos in the back of these 3, though, Chris, he's kind of almost, he's looking like he's just going to sit there and pick up the pieces, because these guys have been close a couple of times.
Yeah, I mean, this has been top quality driving so far. It's one of the things I love about Watkins Glen is that you can go too wide for quite a large stretch of the track, as this is what happened to Themelis. Just got a little bit too greedy on the exit, understeered onto the grass, and then on acceleration just lost it on the turn. It's easily done. I'm pretty sure we've all done that around Watkins Glen at some point, and it just shows you, you know, this is the difficulty. You push hard, and that's the reward you get.
Yeah, as we've seen Nick back now and Sylvian Delpech. These guys are battling down, currently in 10th and 11th. Nick is up 13 positions, mind you, as we're looking back from the LMP2s now. He's looking strong, is Nick. He's moving his way out through the field slowly. He's got 2.7 up to Claudio Maudi, +3 on his position. So, he's in a half-decent position with 38 minutes remaining. But he's doing 1:31.25's guys in front doing 1:30s, Chris. So, his progress is slow, but we have got 38 minutes remaining left of this race.
Yeah, I mean, he's only about 25 seconds off the lead, which I know in terms of, you've lost 25 seconds in 20 minutes, that's not ideal. But if you think you've got the overall pace, you can still do a fair amount about it. You just have to get a bit lucky with traffic. Or, there'll be incidents. I mean, a lot of the drivers up ahead are close together, so they could still have incidents. Although I was racing Bathurst in F3 on Tuesday, and I got very frustrated with the fact that, just cruising around at the back after lap 1, no one else crashed. It was really annoying. Like, why do they never crash when you want them to? That's my question.
I think that's the difference between when we go into leagues and when we're discussing officials there, Chris. And as we know, F3 leagues, especially the one that you're in on a Tuesday night, as we will mention here, is the Jeansbow F3 League. That is live every Tuesday. But I think that's the difference, isn't it, between league racing and officials. I think if you're in officials in an F3, you would expect bar first, mountain section, going around a twisty bit, down the hill, you'd expect crashes to make up positions. But I think league racing is a lot different. And that's why I think we're privileged on a Thursday to see the drivers such as Cowlotz, DeBacker, Hawkins and Armstrongs in the LMP1s, providing the racing they have done. They are only 4 cars, and Amber Hawkins is not giving up the fight just yet on Jim DeBacker. They're, trying to go through the same time of traffic, trying to stick with him. And I think that's why it's so exciting to bring you multi-class racing on a Thursday, Chris.
Yeah, Hawkins is another one I owe an apology to, because I just assumed that DeBacker would be leaving them in their dust. But no, Amber's keeping up really well. This is patronising. Amber's got more than 3,000 iRacing. Clearly knows how to drive a car. But it's not all about the raw pace. You've got to be able to manage the traffic. And we saw both Hawkins and DeBacker, negotiating it all absolutely fine so far. And special shout out to Rob Armstrong as well, who I think it's fair to say, he'd be the first one to admit he's in a slightly different class from the remaining other LMP1s. But he's still up there in 4th. You have to fit. You have to be in it to win it. So he's doing a good job, and worth shouting him out as well. And yeah, he's lapped all the LMP2s, which is more than I've ever managed.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I still fancy the idea of driving an LMP1 in top split on a Thursday and commentating at the same time. I don't know why. I just think it probably would end in certain death for me, Chris. I've got to be honest, with 35 minutes remaining, I probably would have been off somewhere already trying to talk and race at the same time. But I think, the concept, the idea is always good, but an idea is always good until you put it into practice. And then it can go completely wrong.
I'm not sure the GTE field would be particularly amused with you, because I can imagine it'll be them that bear the brunt of anything that goes wrong. And they've suffered enough.
I don't know. I think I'd get past them quite happily. Probably, maybe the LMP2s might also suffer. But as we see, Salvi and Delpech here climbing up to the back of Nick Beck, 0.38 seconds, coming around the last corner just about now. And there they go, leading down into the 90, which is turn 1 on this circuit. If you're not familiar with Watkins Glen, thank you so much for joining us this evening as well. We will guide you through all the way through the track as we see the Batar Carmel battle still going on, Chris. And, Santos still sat at the back. It seems to be as you were, gentlemen, for the last probably 3 or 4 laps now. But they are coming into, it's going to be pit window time soon. So do we think now is kind of, right, I just want to get to the pits, jump in. He's saving fuel, we know that. So is he getting into the mindset of pit strategy, jump Carmo in the pits and get out in front of him?
I think that's another thing where we see a difference between real life racing and iRacing. If this was real life, they'd have a wall of pit mechanics and strategists. Well, maybe not like thousands, but certainly at least one person that can look at the track map like we've got on the top right of the screen for you today, and you can have a look at that and think, well, this is how long it takes to pit. This is where I'm coming out. That's a lot of clean air if I pit now. Whereas these drivers would just be guessing. They have no idea. Because that is really one of the few reasons why in a sprint multi-class race, that's one of the few reasons to pit early, unless you just can't get past someone that you can pitch.
2 seconds there, Chris. Karma and Batu side by side. Karma run wide into turn 1, put him over the, unfortunately, the curb now. Is now obviously deemed as an off-track, but it is brought in Santos. Here we go on board with Santos. Santos has got his bully elbows out. He's pushed past Carmo. Is he going to get Bateau as well? Is this the opportunity that Santos has been so patiently waiting for? Going down into outer loop, they go over the bump. You've got to hit that brake. And there you go. Santos has cleared Carmo, and with a space of 1 corner and a straight, Carmo's lost 2 places, Chris.
Yep, Carmo sort of had two different decisions he could have made there. Follow the draft or close the door, and he opted to follow the draft, and Santos has been able to sneak through, but he may well have been able to sneak through around the outside regardless, so live to fight another day. That's probably the advice for Carmo there.
Yeah, as we see Delpech and Nick Burke now. Delpech's on the right side of your screen. There you go. He's still tucked up behind Nick Burke, not really. He's trying to get closer, Chris, and it seems like the draft is still putting him in within that sort of 1 second window that we expect the draft to really start playing effect. You know, we can pick it up at 1.2, 1.3, but under that second rule is kind of really, really strong. But they're both doing similar lap times, unfortunately. 130.8 for Nick Burke, 130.91 for Delpech. So it's not really a close that we would expect, even though he's got the draft.
Yeah, I mean, there's still plenty of time to go, so it's, I don't know, keeping in the draft is probably the most important thing. Most of these drivers are all going to be of a similar ability, so again, this is why we don't see drivers going through insane lunges, because they know that they're just costing themselves time. So just stay in the draft. It's like you were saying earlier, just get into fuel saving mode, because you're only costing yourself a few tenths of a second a lap over what you could massively do. And as you're saying earlier, we are getting into the pit window, so just sort of stay in as long as you can. Just try and maximise that time on the track.
Yeah, there's 4 cars now, Chris.
Yeah,
we've got it all the way from Cordes, Bateau, Santos, and Carmo are still involved. These guys, Bateau has closed right up to the back of Cordes as we see the LMP2 of Jan Curbs. Different car this week. Stuart Bickley still hasn't caught up to Richard Simnart, but these guys are having an epic battle. There is Simnart in the background there. He's got to be looking at trying to clear us going down into their toes, into the hill, because otherwise we're going to be there, unfortunately, in your way. As 7, 8, 9 and 10 are separated by really about less than a second there, Chris, on track at the moment.
Yeah, well, I wonder if on the previous lap Cordes got unlucky with traffic or made a mistake, because he was 0.6 of a second slower than Bateau and Santos, which is why he's been caught up into this battle. But this is exactly what you don't want to happen with the traffic, because as soon as they're in that draft range, they can present a hazard, and if you can get that turn 1 bang on, you can gain so much time up through the S's, and it's so difficult to clear them because there's not that many opportunities on this circuit because of the nature of the corners. You just don't gain a huge amount of lap time per lap if you're of equal ability.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, and they're now sort of settling in. They can go fuel saving if they have been fuel saving. They should be able to get another lap out rather than their competitors. They don't have to follow them in. They can keep going. As we see Dylan Freckleton here in the LMP2s trying to clear Bateau and Cordes. Bateau has got Cordes going down into the outer loop there. Yeah, that's a job done for Bateau, and he's now on his way. Bateau's looking very quick. Santos is looking quick. And Cordes is kind of in the middle, and we've got the recovery at Carmo. So it's kind of an interesting... Oh, is that Carlos trying to weave his way through? Yeah, Carlos weaving his way through as well. Not the best presentation of... keeping on the same lines there, Chris, because if that was the way, you could have all followed each other. But, Carlos managed it, and that's why he's in the lead of the LMP1s.
I do think that between chute and toe is one of the trickiest parts of the track, because you are, you're on the right-hand side as you come out of chute, and you have to quite quickly get across the left-hand side to get ready for toe. And if you've got an LMP1, catch it quickly, as you do here. So poor Simon here has got to try and calculate exactly what line he can take to maintain his speed, not kill anyone, and not kill himself. He's going to have to hope the GTEs don't swing out too wide there. See, that looks a lot less scary from on board Simon, in my opinion. Like, that feels a lot more under his control, although I say that, it did look like he nearly lost it under acceleration. As Cordes is opting to pit.
Yeah, Cordes is in the pits now. So that's released Bato, Santos and Carmo, taking up 7th, 8th and 9 in the GTE field. There is Batu, behind him is Santos and Carmo. Batu is now cleared off. He's now nearly a second up the road. We see Philip Meyer and Cameron Martineau still having their battles in the GTEs. They're coming around toe at the moment, heading down the short, sharp boot straight of Watkins Glen and heading down into Hill. There we go. We can see Cameron Martineau there on board at the moment. He's 0.58 seconds back. We haven't really picked up the lead of the GTEs for the last 32 minutes, Chris, but these guys seem to be relatively around about the same times. 1:38.7 for Philippe and 1:38.43 for Cameron. So again, are we expecting these guys to cover each other off in the pits, or do we think a different strategy altogether? Because me personally, I would look at covering off, partly because obviously I can see the track map. But for them guys, as you say, they haven't always got a track map out there ready to be able to tell them, have they?
No, I think a lot of the times most of the drivers will just go until they run out of fuel, and you can see Martineau, I think, here is actively trying to save that fuel, because if he can jump Meyer in the pit stop, that's going to save him a lot of aggro on the actual racetrack. Because, 6 tenths a second it's not close enough to make a move on any of the corners on this track, but it is close enough that you can just afford to lift off that little bit earlier, just before you get somewhere. You can just worry a little bit less about traffic. Charles Brites is only 3 seconds back, and we've not mentioned him yet, but Guerlain Massing in 4th. He's up 12 spots in the GTE field, so that's someone to look out for as well. I mean, his fastest lap is slower than the top 3, but you've clearly got pace if you're making 12 spaces in just over half an hour. So that's someone to look out for the second half of the race, because it might well be that we've got someone who really knows what they're doing in the GTE at the moment.
Yeah. So we got Ross Woodford out in front currently. Rui Queiroz behind him, 5.4 seconds. He's looking very comfortable. We haven't really picked up much of Ross throughout this race. He's he's done his job. He's out in front. He's got 5 seconds. Chris, he's having kind of what we would call the perfect race.
Yeah, but we've seen plenty of the perfect races from guys in the lead that have been ruined by one small mistake or one bit of traffic that's just been in the wrong place at the wrong time. So he's far from clear yet. I mean, Simon is in a much clearer position at the front of LMP1 because he's got that 17-second gap. But we've seen plenty of incidents before with traffic here as well. So he's just cleared Teixeira in 3rd from the LMP2s. But, anything can happen. We've seen it almost every week that we've broadcast. Something silly happens in the last 10 minutes that affects someone's race. So this is far from over for anyone.
Yeah, we've got Maudi in the pits. Houdalidis is in the pits as well. As we see Mr. Stuart Bickley there get past a bit of Bato in the GT3, heading off up the hill, down through the S. Is currently in 6th place is Mr. Bickley, 1.94 seconds behind Richard Simnar. So I'm waiting for these guys to come together. That should be an interesting battle. As we see Philip Meyer and Cameron Montague still battling here, Chris. And it's I don't know. I'm not we discuss this every week where we see that aggressive driving. Ooh. That's a bit close there, didn't it?
That was a bit like Schumacher Hakkinen going around Zonta at Spa. I know it was 2 different classes doing it, but I never want to be the middle of that sandwich. It's quite scary. But just a word on Andreas Cordes. He was stopped for a total of 61 seconds. So I reckon he must have picked up some damage somewhere, either in contact or hitting a wall, because that would probably explain why he was getting swamped by Bata and Santos and Carmo. And again, that's one of the small advantages of if you have that damage in the middle of the race, is you can pit during the pit window, and all it's cost you is the repair time. It's not cost you the time of making a second stop, which is what we're going to have to see for. And I believe anyone from the first few laps, I think they may have all stopped running, unless Havers is still running. No, I don't think they are. But if any of the guys had their incidents in the first couple of laps, they'd have to pit a second time. But LMP2, their pit window is fully open.
Yeah, we've got Ross Woodford, Rui Queiroz, Teixeira, Simnar, Bickley and Freckleton all in. And out in front is the band that we discuss every single week. Doesn't qualify, gets out in the lead, and that's Mr. Jan Curbs, Chris. So he's done it again, 24 minutes remaining. Probably expect him in within a lap, I would have thought, towards the end of this lap. But he's done what he normally does every single week, isn't he? And currently on a 1:30.71 was his best time. Ross Woodford on a 1:29.89. So considering he's swapped cars there, Chris, he's not really that far off the pace, is he?
He's doing all right, and he is the only LMP2 that is yet to pit. And looking at the stop times for everyone else, Kirosh was our fastest pit time, but it hasn't gained him that position over Woodford.
There you go. Cameron Montanu's just got past Philip Meyer, going down into outer loop. Meyer went a little bit wide there, and Montanu took that opportunity, Chris, and got the job done, didn't he?
Yep, and track position is obviously, well, it's what you want by the end of the race, that's for sure. But I mean, it might be an advantage for Meyer because now he can do a bit of fuel saving. I mean, he's had half an hour less to do it in, but I wouldn't be looking to make the overtake yet because he could lose it through the pit stops because Martineau probably has got that slight fuel advantage over him.
Yeah, see, is it worth them looking at these guys taking the undercut? Chris, would you look at taking the undercut now? You know, you've lost the position, you've dropped back, you're not massively back, don't get me wrong, 0.36 seconds. Would you look at taking the undercut, or would you go until you've run out of fuel?
I think, again, as we've mentioned, the sort of one of the issues with Jan Curbs pits, they don't have a strategist in their ear because they don't know if they were to make that decision on an undercut, they don't know if they're going to come out in traffic or clear air, and that might cost them the race. Whereas if they just copy what the other person does, you're at least taking that out of the equation. So I think what we'll see is both of these drivers coming together, unless Martineau has managed to save enough fuel that he can get away with doing an extra lap. As Jan Curbs' pit strategy, I don't believe has gained him any positions on track, as Richard Simner's gone past, and so has Stuart Bickley. So if anything, it's actually cost him. I don't know where he's lost that time from, and Freckleton's gone past too. So yeah, that's not animal. He's really dropped down. So I don't know what happened for Jan there, but that is not what he'd have been looking for.
It looks like his stop is slower than everybody else as well, so it hasn't really benefited yet. Unfortunately, there he's come down. I got him 9th, 10th in class. So we see Philip Meyer now making a move back on Montanu, literally at the same corner. As we see that, I thought LMP2 was going to get caught up in this battle. But Meyer has got past Montanu now, 21 minutes remaining, 0.38 seconds. Here we go. Is this Santos passing Batur? It is going down into the outer loop. There's that bump. You see the unsettlement on the Porsche there, Chris. That bump is really quite nasty. I don't think you realise how actually bad it is until you drive it. I don't know if you've driven the new Scan.
I've not had the pleasure yet. I've only driven a Hyundai around it, and I think it's fair to say you don't get the same sense of speed in the Hyundai Elantra as you are going to get in these GTE cars. So I've not really noticed the pain of it yet, but I will. I mean, watching this has made me desperate to get on track and race these. But we'll have to see. Let's watch Martineau go over the bump.
Yeah, as you see, going down the back straight up through the S's. And it really is. It's just after where the bus stop is. Look, he's pulling in Meyer there. Oh, Meyer's got across him.
Oh, yeah, you see that
there it
bump
is.
there, yeah.
It's a really incredible bump. That you don't really experience it in the bus stop when the bus stop's there. But that is really a mix of the two tracks, and it can really unsettle the car. And I've been fighting with an LMP2 going over the bumps. Oh, these guys, Maudi.
That could have gone a lot worse.
Yeah,
that's an unhappy Martineau.
Yeah, I think I would be as well with Maudi and Corbs there. I think, got to be honest, I would be having a flash. And, well, to be honest, you can't really express much disillusion apart from flashing lights. But, I think that's it. Carmo, Batu. Carmo's got past Batu now. Here's another one that's sort of slipped back. Santos has got past. Carmo's got past now as well. 19 minutes, so Chris, fatigue kicks in, tiredness. Is that where we're at? Is that what we're looking at? Because I know driving an hour races before can be really, by the time you get into the last 20 minutes, I don't know about yourself, but I'm just kind of sitting there thinking, come on, I just want to get to the end now. Do you know what I mean? If you're having a clean race, you just want kind of want to get to the end of the race. And is that what we're seeing from Batu? Because he's kind of losing his little bit of a pace a little bit. He's done a 1:39.66 was his best, but he did a 1:41.71, which was nearly just under a second slower than the guys in front of Carmo and Santos.
Well, I think as we saw with Cordes earlier, we don't always know if these drivers have got a little bit of damage from somewhere. Because as we see on the final turn there, some of the walls on this track are right up to the edge of the track. And for all we know, they're taking a bit of damage and they're off the pace because of that reason. As this Martineau battle is just heating up more and more. But I think the trouble at this point is, as you can see on the track map, the field is so spread out, you never really get a sustained period of time to, you know, just sort of stretch your legs out. You just constantly have to think about traffic, and that mental energy is so draining.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of cars that have gone in. Petro Rafael Formeles was in the sole Ford. But we jump back on board with a Batu and Santos now for third and fourth now, Chris. These guys have been battling very nicely throughout this race. Santos, Batu, there was obviously Carmo was involved, and Cordes. Batu seems strong. He seems like he's got the bit between his teeth. He did a 1:41.18 last time. Santos did a 1:41.16. Now he's still within that 0.6 window, so we've still got a little bit of a buffer. But as we know, when you come onto the back straight, that buffer kind of goes out the window.
As I said, Meyer and Martineau have just both gone into pits on the same lap, so it will be interesting to see if Martineau's got an advantage from being able to fuel save, being in second for most of the race. I don't know if you can really fuel save enough to make the whole jump, but it's not just about that, it's also about how quickly can you get in and out of your pit box. That can make a difference as well, because I can only assume that's what happened to Jan Kurbs, because he was actually stopped for less time than most of the rest of the LMP2 field. But his overall pit time, oh, this is close.
Oh, this is close.
Meyer's got it. Yeah, Meyer's in front there.
Yeah, Daisy definitely got the jump, but Batu and Santos are in the pits as well. So that's going to be interesting to see what these guys, when them two come out together. But Meyer got the jump there. And got the job done with 17 minutes remaining. He's now just got to try and keep him off through this first part of the S's and down the back straight. It's going to be interesting to see if he looks at making the move as soon as he can. He's in the slipstream and he's closing 0.18, 0.17 and closing fast. Going over that nasty bump into outer loop, and he's kind of just settled back in again behind Chris for 16 minutes remaining.
Yep, and as you look on the track map, they haven't got a huge amount of traffic to worry about. They've got Hoodalutis just behind them, and then DeBacker and Hawkins not that far beyond them. And then really it's just the lead cars of the LMP2 field. So if they're lucky, they've taken most of the traffic out of the equation now, so long as the two or three that they have got to contend with behave themselves, which not always the case. I think any GTE driver will tell you, but you know, we can hope.
Yeah, it's always not always the case with the GTEs, but you know, as I say, it can lead into a longer discussion as I'm an LMP2 driver, and yeah, I've had many discussions with GTE drivers about facilitating overtakes, but you know, we won't go into that, will we? As we see Jim DeBacker clearing the traffic, he's got an 18-second gap from Simon Cowlotz. Jim's been just going about his business. He's dropped Amber Hawkins now, though, Chris, as well. He's got near enough a 7-second gap back to Amber, but he has got an 18-second gap to Simon Cowlotz. So Jim's kind of really in that second position, comfy zone, I suppose we could call it, couldn't we? Because he is just looking, he's just going about his business, looking comfortable in second place.
Yeah, and a lot of that has actually come from after the pit window. So Amber did actually pit 5 laps later. But at the time that Jim did pit, he was only about 2.5, 3 seconds ahead. So it's only really been in this last sort of 15-minute period that he's been able to get that, as it looks like a prototype might have scuppered Martineau's potential overtake there.
Yeah, I think Martineau went out, thought about it, and then the LMP come through. And unfortunately, he had to tuck back in again. But he's going to have another lap. He's got 14, just under 15 minutes. He's still got a good time to really make that move on Meyer, but it's not the point of making that move though, Chris. It's the point of trying to stay ahead, because if he makes it into the back straight, and Meyer and Martineau gets back the other way behind him, it's going to swap positions again all the way for the last 14 minutes.
Yeah, but I suppose at the end of the day, track position is the most important thing. And as much as that back straight overtake is the simplest one to make, you still have to get that good run out of turn one. And if you're under that pressure to make it on the last couple of laps, it is a lot easier said than done.
Yeah, as we see these guys now in the GTs coming round the last corner. We've got Montano in second, Maya in first place there. These guys have really been battling all the way through, all the way up into the pit stops. Maya got the jump in the pits from Montano. Montano now has just got to chase him down for the last 13 minutes. So this could be an absolute, really materialised battle. But Maya's looking a little bit tasty there, Chris. He's pulled out near enough a 0.75 second gap. So he's looking at clear enough as you see Jan Curbs here. What have you been up to, sir? Is that making the overtake on Dylan Freckleton, I believe? And he's got Simon Cowlotz, ironically, in the LMP1, as we're so used to these two guys battling in the same class, Chris.
Yeah, I wonder if they're trying to wind each other up a bit there. Simon was asking Jan to get into their voice chat earlier, so I guess that's to wind each other up in there as well, which is what we like to see. It's like with Simner and Bickley chatting in the TSS Discord, which you're welcome to join. I believe there should be a link in the YouTube description if you're interested. You can discuss what goes on in these European sprint races with us. It's a lot of good fun. There's a lot of it's not quite, I wouldn't quite call it funny, but certainly amusing banter goes on. I'm getting a bit partridge here. I should probably stop talking.
That's fine, don't worry too much. It is all good. As I say, guys, all links are down in the description if you are here for the first time as well. Please smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on those bells for notifications, and keep up to date every time TSS goes live with the iRacing. Now, as we see, we've got 12 minutes remaining. We've still got Montano and Maya in a battle for first. Now, the gap's come down 3 tenths. It's going to be coming down a little bit more as we're heading up through the S's section. We just take the 90 there, and then we're going up through the S's. We're expecting this gap to close, though, Chris. Montano may have a chance, though, because he hasn't got, he's got an LMP2, which is Ross Woodford behind him. So he might be able to make that move on Maya coming down into the outer loop. So let's have a look. It's easier said than done, though, when you are an attacking GTE. You do have an LMP1 on the outside there, isn't it, Chris?
Well, exactly, and you can actually see that's the first hint of a bit of defence from Maya there. He did just position that car slightly into the middle, although that could just as much have been to avoid that massive bump that we've been talking about, because the last thing you want right now is to unsettle the car and bin it on your own, especially in the lead of the race. Yeah,
definitely see Woodford come round to these guys. He's going to make the jump up the inside. Is he going to get Maya as well? He has. Owinski, Discord link is invalid. I'm sure we will get another one for you, sir. We will post another one in chat shortly, and you're more than welcome to join the TSS Discord. I believe there should be one just about to come up now, so thank you very much. It has been updated in the description, Owinski, so if you want to join the Discord, you should be able to get into the TSS Discord and come and have a chat to us. So here we go, Montano and Maya now 0.45 seconds back as we see Rob Armstrong going through, taking the boat from Rob's just plodding around doing his business in 4th place in the LMP1 field. As we say, we have got only 4 cars in the LMP1s due to early retirements of Hammer, Santos and McNichol. So Chris, 10 minutes. Montano's got to be looking at making his move, unless he's going to be patient and sit behind him right up until the last lap.
It depends how much he's under pressure. It also depends how much he's pushing to the absolute limit. For all we know, Montano is pushing as hard as he can. Maya's still got a little bit left in the tank. I mean, that doesn't reflect in the fastest laps because Martineau's 1:38.43 is a full 3.5 tenths quicker than Maya's 7.8 that he's managed. But we don't have the context between when those laps were set. That could have been with the draft, there could have been traffic affecting them, all sorts. So you can't read too much into overall fastest laps. And I think it's fair to say that these two have got very similar pace, otherwise they wouldn't be within half a second of each other at the front of top split ESS.
Yeah, so let's take a look now. To start on with LMP1s, guys, we're going to go run down of the leaders in each class. LMP1's got Simon Cowlotz is out in the lead, led from the start, never really been under much trouble there, Chris, and has never had any issues, really, has it? He's just been plodding away. In second place is Jim DeBacker. Again, he's cleared up. He's up 4 positions due to early retirements within the field. Behind him is Amber Hawkins. Another one just going about the business, not really having any pressures. A nice early battle with Jim DeBacker there, but got the job done. And Jim, unfortunately, Pastor is now down in 3rd. And in 4th place is Rob Armstrong. Again, another one had a quiet race, not really focused much in the broadcast, but he's going about his business down in 4th. So in the LMP2 field, we have got Ross Woodford led from the start, pretty much to about 52 minutes remaining. In 2nd place, we've got Rui Queiroz. In 3rd place, we have Fernando Texeira. Both of these drivers have gone around just about doing their business. Never really caused any issues, so they've been getting on. Christian Macarelli, he is in 4th place there. And behind him is Richard Simnar, who in turn has got Mr. Stuart Bickley in behind him, closing kind of, well, they're on a 130. Behind them is Jan Kurbs. He is 2.5 seconds back. Behind him is Dylan Freckleton. There is Dylan now, and behind that, in currently 8th place, is Claudio Maudi of Italy. So Sylvian Delpech is in 10th place, and Nick Burke, who's up 2 places, is in 11th. And John Hoodlidis is in 12th, down 7 on his qualifying position, has had a bit of an eventful race. So in the GTEs, we've got Philip Meyer and Cameron Montaner in 1st and 2nd, respectively. There they go on screen. João Brights is in 3rd. He is now 6 seconds back. Still got time if anything happens to pick up the win. Gerlin Massing is in 4th place. He is up 12 positions. Christian Streitenberger is up 7. He's in 5th. Marco Ricci in one of the Corvettes in the field, I believe he's actually only the Corvette now, is in 6th place. Atkan Bater is in 7th place in the GT. He's having some nice battles earlier on. Scheid in 8th place. Dominic Scheid in 8th. Petros Rafael Femelis in this sole Ford is in 9th position. Had a little bit of an incident. Oliver Rodriguez Santos has dropped down a lot from Batu. Batu's making some moves up front at the moment. Sergio Carmo is in 11th place. His goal was involved in a battle for 7th earlier on, and so slipped off the pace, now down in 11th. Andres Cordes is another one who slipped off the pace. He's now down in 12th position, and I believe that is the Tommy Morjoy. Oh, I'm sorry, Tommy. I probably literally butchered your name there. Is down in 13th position in the GTEs. So we're going to go and have a look and see what the top 2 GTEs is. We see Montaner making a move on the left-hand side, coming down into outer loop. Is this Maya? Oh, Maya sent. No, goes home. No. Oh, that was such a shame from them guys. Had an absolute amazing battle. Is he slowing down?
Yeah, Meyer, I believe, waited to let him come back through, but Brites is now only 1.5 seconds behind, and Gwen Massing, who we were talking about earlier, made 12 places up.
Yeah.
He's only 0.5 seconds behind Brites, so we've got a 4-way battle for the lead brewing now for the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, Meyer went over the grass. Unfortunately, there you go, and just lost. Oh, just tagged Montaner. I believe he hit the brakes and still hit the brakes. It's a great sportsmanship from him, but here is the Stuart Bickley Richard Simnar battle that we was expecting to come towards the end of the race, and it has done with just over 5.5 minutes remaining. So these guys are going to be having a battle coming down with the last 5 minutes. Chris, if you could select one to put money on, who would you put it on, Bickley or Simnar?
Oh, well, whoever I say no to is going to kill me, so yeah.
We're going to put it on both. Montaner now is making a move. Meyer is coming up, closing up, going down the back straight. Here we go, side by side currently. Are we going to see a rerun of the last lap? I believe there's moves in the back from Bryce and Massing as well, but this is Meyer getting through Montaner. There you go, job done for Meyer there. He's got past, nice clean overtake. Massing and Brights literally closed up. And look at this, Bickley and Simnar are involved in this as well. Oh, Simnar has been touched, hasn't he? He closed off, Simnar spun. Oh no. Oh no, Richard Simnar was involved with Bryson Massing. Here we go. Look, that's, unfortunately, that's car number 11. That's Bryce, I believe. Here we go. He kind of makes the wrong decision, doesn't he? Because Bright tries to clear out and Bickley's, look. Yeah, yep. Bickley kind of waited as Simnar got a little bit more impatient, unfortunately. And got himself into a position he couldn't really get out of there, Chris.
Yep, and if just one of those two pairs hadn't been battling, that accident wouldn't have happened. But it's where neither of those pairs want to give up anything to the person they're in a fight with. And that's what happened, and it's cost Simnar and it's cost Brites. Although I say it's cost Brites, he is still in fourth. He's only lost one position, although there's surely enough damage to that car that Streitenberger is just going to be able to get straight past, which I believe he's about to do on the start-finish line, yes.
I think he's done it already.
It's too late to really worth going to the pits. Ricky is a further 13 seconds down, so at least João Brites has only lost 2 positions. It could have been a lot worse considering that car at one point looked like it wanted to be upside down.
Yeah, as we see Simnar has jumped into the pits. Here we go with a battle again. Martino and Meyer going down into outer loop. Is this a re-swap of positions? Martino on your left, Meyer on your right as they head down. It looks like they're just kind of as they are. As you see, Brites here has got Strettenberger in front of him. He's not really made any moves either, but then again, as I say, we don't know what damage he's carrying from that Simnar accident, do we, Chris?
No, well, I mean, he was looking at making a move back across. I'd say if that car is still healthy enough to be making moves after the impact we saw it have, that is a very sturdy Porsche indeed. But I think Streitenberger just seems to have that little bit more downforce left in the car. He seems to be just able to hit these corners a little bit better.
Yeah, he looks like he ran very wide there, Chris, didn't he?
Yeah, so it's not an entirely happy looking car, but at this stage I'd be thinking just make sure that Marco Ricci can't catch me up and I don't go off the track, because it's 5th place is still a creditable result, really. It'll be interesting to see if Glen Massing can take advantage of the fact he is now within the draft range of the top 2 GTEs.
Yeah, as I said, these guys have been having their battles. Meyer and Martino and Massing is now back onto the back end of them. It's going to be interesting to see. We've got just 2 minutes. Where is Mr. Carlos? So we're going to get at least another lap of them. One more will bring us to the end of the race. So he's just coming to the end of his lap now. So we're going to have one more.
2 more, I believe.
Yeah, 2 more. As we see Massing now climbing up to the back of Montano. He's in draft, ways to say, under a second. Not as strong as if you're closer, but he is closing, and hopefully. Will he be in the mix though? Do we think 1 minute 38 remaining? He's going to be in there, Chris.
It would be the heist of a century if he can take the win here, because he's not got to deal with just one car. He's got to deal with 2, and whoever's in second of the 2 in front, they've obviously got the draft of the car in front of them, so it becomes that much harder to make the overtake. But there could be some desperate prototypes who really want to make an issue there. So it's we'll have to. I mean, we can just wait and see. Richard Simnar posting YouTube, that went from 0 to 0, which I think is a reasonably fair assessment of what happened.
Yeah, but we did have that discussion, Richard, that we did unfortunately think you took the wrong line there. A little bit more patience like Mr. Bickley and you might have made it through unscathed. But hey, we weren't in the car. We didn't get as excited as you and wanted to make that move. But here we go, Scheide Familes coming down into outer loop, I believe, on track currently at the moment. Again, these guys have been going around their business. Obviously, we saw Familes, Chris, had a little bit of a spin. Unfortunately, put it into the barrier. But again, you know, just generally going around. There's not been loads happening with the mid-runners, is there, really? Once you get past Batu, kind of Familes, Scheids, you know, Santos Carlos, Cordes has even calmed down. They've gone into their own little freeway for 10th, 11th and 12th in class. But Scheids just kind of gone around plodding about his business as we jump back on board with Carlots, who, as we say, is going to be leading. This is going to be the white flag lap. So this is the final lap for Simon Carlots in the ESS. And he's looked comfortable from the beginning, hasn't he, Chris? He's never been in danger, not once within the whole race.
Exactly the case, and I think this is really going to, unless he gets punted by him, this is a huge advantage to Meyer, because if they'd been half a lap further round, as there he goes, he's now only got the infield section to deal with, and he's got the race to win in GTE, so that's worked out very nicely for them. If Cowlarts had been half a lap slower this race, they'd have an extra lap to do. That's one more time going through the bus stop that they'd had to deal with. And I don't know, would Martineau and Massing have known about that as they were coming up? So it might well have been that Martineau was saving for one more lap without realising he didn't have one more. I mean, I might be reading too much into that situation, but it's interesting to think what could have happened.
Yeah, exactly. So these guys are going to come around. They're going to take the checkered flag. As we've seen the LMP1, Simon Cowlarts go past. He is crossing the line very shortly. There he is. He's going to be taking the win at Watkins Glen for the ESS LMP1 field. As we go back to the GTs, Maya and Montanu, they've crossed as well. Yep, Maya took the win. Montanu in second place. Those guys' races, well done to them. And in the LMP, I believe there's Ross Woodford crossing the line very shortly. So he will be taking the win in the LMP2 field. So, you know, not overly eventful, but the events we did have, Chris, kind of brought the race alive a little bit.
Yeah, and as you can see on screen right now, the fog didn't really dissipate either. So I do wonder how much that would have actually affected the drivers. I think pretty much everyone that we see week in, week out here is more than competent enough to be able to deal with some slightly adverse weather. But I mean, we saw some top driving from especially Maya and Martin and the GTEs. But I'd say throughout the field, we didn't really have many egregious incidents. You sort of see your standard multi-class miscommunications, but even those weren't particularly malicious or stupid. They were just a sort of inevitability of iRacing and the sort of the differences of latency and speeds you get with these cars.
So we're just waiting for the last of the cars to finish up before we can bring you the final results of tonight's ESS Week 5 at Watkins Glen, guys. Don't forget, if you are here for the first time, please hit that subscribe button, click on them thumbs up, and follow the links behind. Also, guys, as well, we got a vote for the schedule for the ESS next season. Link is in the description as well. So if you'd like to go and have a vote on the tracks for next season, please go and click the links and put your vote in. Simnar's in chat. Fog didn't affect us. The neon grass up to ankle did. I love how everybody's calling it ankle. Yes, that grass was very bright, unfortunately. But here we go, the race results for LMP1. Simon Cowlarts is in first place, took the win by 20 seconds. Jim DeBacker is in second. Amber Hawkins third. Rob Armstrong fourth place. And as you can see, fifth, sixth, and seventh, unfortunately, as we heard from Luke Santos, had some force feedback issues, did not finish the race. In LMP2, you've got Ross Woodford. Rui Carras is in second. Fernando Texera third. Christian Maccarelli in fourth. Stuart Bigley is in fifth as he had his closing battle with, unfortunately, Richard Simno, who come off, unfortunately, not completed the race. Jan Curbs is in sixth. Dylan Freckleton is in seventh. Sylvan Delpech is in eighth. Claudia Maldi is in ninth. Nick Brick is in 10th. Simna still gets 11th place, so and John Hoodley is in 12th, and Kareem Havas is in 13th. In the GTEs, Philip Meyer, Cameron Montanu first and second respectively. Win taken by Philip Meyer there. 0.5 seconds as across the line. Gurley Massing is in third. Schuttenberger is in fourth. Ricky in fifth. Batur in sixth. Familis is in seventh. Scheid in eighth. Santos ninth. Carmo 10th. Cordes 11th. Brights 12th. Tommy in 13th, Carmo 14th, Boerheg 15th, Gillet in 16th place, and Maury down in 17th place, unfortunately 33 laps down. So we're going to have a look at the LMP1 Championship. Simon Cowlarts is now jumped Jan Curbs, but obviously we saw Jan Curbs in the LMP2. He's in first, Jan Curbs in second still, Jim DeBacker in third, Luke Santos still in fourth place, Pascal Nelly's in fifth, Daniele Pizzo in sixth, Amber Hawkins is up 17 positions in 7th place. Lars Miles in 8th, Dominic Engler in 9th, and Ollie Cole round out our top 10. Did you get points in the last race? I believe you did. I'm sorry? He come down in 11th place. So we're going to have a look at Mr. Simner and see if you got any points. In first place in the LMP2 is Stuart Bickley on 34 points, up 5 places. Owen Carroll is in second. Luca Papp third. Marcus Deck fourth. Fraser Williams fifth. Williamson fifth. Mikael Romanius is in 6th. Ross Woodford is in 7th. Alexander Spetz is in 8th. Ricardo Giroli in 9th. Hugo Brando is in 10th position on 18. Simnar, Mr. Richard Simnar, you got 1 point. So well done to you, sir. In the GTEs, we got Charvet is in, well, Charvet, Vitrudev, Has, Mac, Barry Vieira, and Maya are all on 25 points. Bishoa is in 7th on 20. Lyden Lee is in 8th on 18. Andre Montero, 9th. Mike Wagner rounds out our top 10. So there you go, Mr. Bickley, you are in first place. And Mr. Yes, Richardson, woohoo, you got 1 point. So there you go, Chris. Not our normal full bore ESS, but still a good race. Do you think you can round it out for us in 1 sentence?
I was going to say 1 point for 1 punt. That's all I've got.
Oh dear, Mr. Simnov, what can you do? There you go. That's rounded out by Mr. Chris Rowlands. So what I've got coming up for you for this week, guys, we have got the F3 Jeans Bowl on Tuesday evening. And then we are back at take care. Have a great week. And we might see you on the track sometime.